And then just like in the elbow, you have collateral ligaments. You have collateral ligaments in the wrist. So you're going to call this radial collateral, and this is going to be ulnar collateral. And then there's a lot of other ligaments. Between all the different carpal bones, there's ligaments that hold them together. So you name those ligaments based on the names of the two bones. And then on the volar plate, which are basically these attachments here, that go across the PIPs and the PIPs. And what's the difference between, when you're talking about finger flexors and extensors, there's intrinsic muscles of the hand and extrinsic muscles of the hand. And what's the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic? No. Where it has to do with where the bulk of the muscle is, or the belly of the muscle. Okay. Yeah, intrinsic ones, the belly of the muscle's in the hand, like these muscles here. Okay. The other ones, the belly of the muscle's here, but the tendons go across. So these finger flexor muscles, most of the muscles are not, except for on the thenar and the hypothenar, those muscles are down here, so they'd be the extrinsic muscles. And then you have all the extensor digitoral muscles are all extrinsic. You don't have any muscles that extend the fingers and so then intrinsic is you have the pollicus muscles, the lumbricals, and the interossei. So muscles of the wrist of the hand, you're going to have the flexor carpi radialis and flexor carpi ulnaris. Okay, so flexor carpi ulnaris is going to be more on the ulnar side. So that's going to be this tendon here. Okay. And then flexor carpi radialis is going to be more on this side here. Okay. And when they act together, they're going to flex the ribs. Okay. If this one acts by itself, what's it going to do? Ulnar deviation. If this one acts by itself, it's going to do radial deviation. Okay. And then ulnaris longus, that one's more superficial. It doesn't go through the carpal tunnel because it doesn't actually insert onto bone, it inserts onto this palmar aponeurosis. So then you have the extensor muscles on the other side, and then I'm going to show a little video clip here. So you can have radialis longus and brevis. These are two tendons that are on the radial side. And then you're going to have the extensor carpi ulnaris over on this side here. And I'm going to cut the legs. Should work.
Now let's go around to the other side of the forearm and see the wrist extensors. Here they are, extensor carpi radialis longus and brevis, and extensor carpi ulnaris. Brachioradialis, which you'll remember goes from here to here, has been removed in this dissection. Extensor carpi radialis longus arises from the lateral epicondylar ridge just below brachioradialis. Extensor radialis brevis arises from the lateral epicondyle, an origin which it shares with several other extensor muscles. They all arise together from the epicondyle and from this common. Extensor carparis arises from the lateral epicondyle. It also has an ulnar head, which arises from this border of the ulna. As the extensor tendons cross the back of the wrist, they pass under this structure, the extensor retinaculum, which acts as a pulley. Extensor carpi radialis longus are inserted on the bases of the second and third extensor ulnaris on the base of the fifth metacarpal.
So then now on the other side, you have the flexors. So there's two sets of flexor muscles that go to the fingers, the flexor digitorum profundus and superficialis. And then minimi, which is going to be one of the, it's going to go to the little finger. And you can see the superficial one up here is going to go all the way to the distal part of the finger, whereas the profundus is going to go to the middle phalanges. Okay, so if the profundus is going to do this, and then need the superficialis to flex the DIP. Okay. So there's different exercises that are done for hand and tendon problems, where you call them flexor tendon exercises, or no, tendon gliding exercises, I'm sorry. So you make a fist 3 different ways, right? You can make a fist where you bend all the joints, the MCP, the PIP, and the DIP. Okay, so that's one way to make a fist. The other way is you just do the interphalangeal joints, and then the MCP stays straight. That's more. This is like a full fist, I think, and this is a hook. And then you flex the MCP and the PIP, but you leave the DIP extended. And those slightly work the tendons differently. So if people are having tendon problems or like trigger finger or something like that, you can do those different tendon gliding exercises. And there's also certain other ones, I can give you some handouts on it. There's what they call nerve gliding exercises, where you have the median nerve, ulnar nerve, radial nerve, and you do certain positions to move those nerves through their sheaths, because you can have adhesions or things where the nerves are going to get stuck and not move as well through them. So let's watch this.
Flexor digitorum profundus. It arises from the anterior and medial surface of the ulna and through the interosseous membrane. Here are its 4 tendons, entering the carpal tunnel. We'll follow them in a minute. This adjoining muscle we'll see later on. It's flexor pollicis longus, the long thumb flexor. Now let's add the superficial finger flexor, flexor digitorum superficialis, to the picture. Here it is. It lies right on top of the profundus. It has 2 heads of origin, a radial head and a humero-ulnar head. The humero-ulnar head arises as part of the common flexor tendon from the medial epicondyle of the humerus and also from the adjoining ulna. Its radial head arises from this long oblique line on the radius. Between the 2 heads, there's a gap which the median nerve and the ulnar artery both pass through. The 4 separate tendons of flexor digitorum superficialis are bundled together as they enter the carpal tunnel. We'll remove the profundus tendon for a moment. The 2 halves of the superficialis tendon need removed, and as they do so, they insert here on the middle phalanx. The profundus tendon, here it is back in place, emerges between the 2 halves of superficialis and continues distally to insert here on the base of the distal phalanx. The action of flexor digitorum superficialis is to flex the proximal IP joint and the MP joint. The action of flexor digitorum profundus is to flex both the IP joints and the MP joint.